This podcast may contain graphic and potentially upsetting content related to true crime and the paranormal. Listener discretion is advised. Hello, I'm Corinna Harrod, and this is the Monday Night Review. Hello, and welcome to episode 149 of the Monday Night Review. As you may be able to tell, I've had a real stinker of a cold. It was just a head cold, but with a side of self-loathing and the world is ending and nausea. So it's been not too pleasant, but much better than the flu I had last year, where I was MIA for weeks. But also, if you're podcasting, it's not ideal to have a cold. And so I don't want today's episode to be too long. But how are you? It's been raining here. We haven't had rain for a while. It is now rainy. It is cold. We've had a weirdly balmy autumn. But dare I say it, I'm almost feeling like we could be inching slowly towards the festive season. It's the 18th of November. I don't know what's wrong with me. It's probably the cold still. So to spare you all my snotty tone, today's episode is not very long, but it is relevant because last week on Monday was the 11th. It was Remembrance Sunday on the 10th. And we obviously remember all of those who fought in the world wars and subsequent wars. And today's episode, we may have discussed, and people talk about the horses that were used during the world wars in particular. But do you know about the dogs? Today we're going to talk about mercy dogs, which are sad but divine. For centuries, dogs have played essential roles in warfare, serving as scouts, guards, and companions. From the ancient Egyptians and Greeks to modern armies, these remarkable animals have proved their worth time and time again. But during the world wars of the 20th century, dogs were trained for one of their most poignant missions: saving lives. Known as mercy dogs or Red Cross dogs, these specially trained animals worked to locate wounded soldiers in the chaos of the battlefield, provide medical aid, and even offer comfort to the dying. In this episode, I'm going to tell you all about mercy dogs, their roles during wartime, the challenges they faced, and the remarkable stories of individual dogs who made a difference. This is dedicated to the pod dogs who listen, and the podcats. Though, can you imagine? I mean, cats would be useful, but I can imagine they'd be like, not today. Oh, not going in there. That looks horrible. The idea of using dogs as battlefield medics began in the early 20th century, and it was actually pioneered by the German military. Now, I don't speak German, so let's give this a go. Known as Sanitätshund, or sanitary dogs, these animals were trained to assist medics in locating injured soldiers. The success of this program soon inspired other countries, including France, Belgium, and Britain, to adopt similar initiatives. So Germany emerged as a leader in this field, creating a structured training program for dogs. The German army taught these dogs to identify wounded soldiers by smell and could even distinguish them from the deceased. When a dog found a live wounded soldier, it would retrieve a personal item like a belt or a uniform fragment and return to its handler to signal the discovery. By the start of World War I, Germany had around 6,000 trained mercy dogs ready to serve. Over the course of the war, the nation used an estimated 30,000 dogs in various roles. Tragically, around 7,000 of these dogs were killed in action. The UK established its own Mercy Dog Training Centre in 1917, known as the British War Dog School. Located in Essex and founded by Lieutenant Colonel Edwin Houghtonville Richardson, he'd initially trained some dogs, offered them to the army. The army had refused, and so he'd taken them to the Red Cross, which is why the UK Mercy Dogs are often called Red Cross dogs, because the Red Cross were like, great, we'll use them. And then the army felt a bit sheepish and were like, fine. Yeah, that was actually a great idea. But by this time, they'd set up this training dog school and it focused on training dogs under realistic battlefield conditions, including exposure to gunfire and explosions. The programme favoured breeds such as Airedales, Collies and Lurchers for their intelligence, resilience and loyalty. So Mercy dogs were trained for 3 primary tasks on the front line. First being search and rescue. They went onto no man's land, often under the cover of darkness, using their keen sense of smell to locate wounded soldiers. They could navigate treacherous terrain, including mud, barbed wire and shell craters. And as I said earlier, they would be able to tell wounded from deceased. Second role was medical assistance, equipped with saddlebags containing basic medical supplies such as bandages, water and alcohol. The dogs provided immediate aid to injured soldiers. This allowed for those who were still conscious to tend to their wounds while waiting for medics, and if they weren't conscious, the dog would then take something from the soldier and take it back to his handler. The third role was providing comfort. For soldiers who were beyond saving, the dogs stayed by their side, offering companionship and ensuring that they did not die alone, which is just incredible to think about, because it must have been the bleakest of deaths. And for those of us who love dogs and have dogs, you have probably been in a situation where you're not feeling great and a dog has come to you and it does make you feel better. And I think we can only imagine what it was like during the World Wars and World War I, where nobody knew what they were getting into. And the thought that these dogs would go to men that needed them is a glimmer of light in those dark memories. Life on the battlefield was dangerous for Mercy dogs. They often braved artillery fire, sniper attacks and chemical weapons like mustard gas. Gas masks were eventually developed for dogs, but they were cumbersome and impractical for prolonged use, especially in hot climates, because dogs need to pant to cool down. They don't sweat. So if a dog can't open its mouth and pant properly, then it's very dangerous for them. They can't cool down. Even for those that survived the war, the trauma was immense. Many dogs experienced symptoms akin to shell shock, and their handlers frequently reported changes in behaviour. So there were obviously thousands of Mercy dogs, but several Mercy dogs became legends for their extraordinary bravery and skill. Captain, a German Mercy dog during World War I, saved 30 soldiers in a single day. His ability to locate and signal the presence of wounded men under heavy fire made him a hero among his unit. Prosco, another German dog, reportedly saved nearly 100 soldiers during a single battle. He had a unique instinct for dragging injured men into safer positions. Before returning to alert medics, he would often pull them into ditches. Tommy, a French Doberman Pinscher, served during World War II. He had an uncanny ability to distinguish between the living and the dead, often locating survivors in dense terrain where humans struggled to navigate. And I'm assuming they thought that everyone there was dead. He'd be able to find the living. Chips, though not a traditional Mercy dog, Chips, a mixed breed serving with the US Army during World War II, displayed unparalleled courage. He famously neutralised a machine gun nest during the invasion of Sicily, allowing his unit to advance. On the 10th of July 1943, Chips and his handler were pinned down on the beach by an Italian machine gun team. And Chips broke free from his handler, jumped into the pillbox, attacking the gunners. The 4 crewmen were forced to leave the pillbox and surrendered to the US troops. The handler said, quote, "There was an awful lot of noise. Then I saw one fellow come out the door with Chips at his throat. I called him off before he could kill the man." In the fight, he sustained a scalp wound and powder burns, and later that day, he helped take 10 Italians prisoner. So Chips is a bit of a hero. Rags was a stray terrier adopted by the American Expeditionary Forces during World War I. He excelled as a messenger dog. He was found on the streets of Paris and smuggled in by the man that would then become his handler. And he then said, when he was discovered with the dog, said that it was the mascot. And he managed to train Rags to carry messages from him or from someone to another place, and he carried vital communications through enemy fire and assisted in locating breaks in communication lines. There was one point where his handler and his men were surrounded and trapped, and Rags was able to carry a message that then brought artillery fire and medics that were able to save the men. Sergeant Stubby was a stray-turned mascot for the US Army's 102nd Infantry, and he alerted his unit to incoming gas attacks and located wounded soldiers. He also captured a German spy, earning him a promotion to sergeant. Mercy dogs are credited with saving thousands of lives during the World Wars. In World War I alone, estimates suggested they saved around 6,000 lives in Germany and France. Their bravery helped pave the way for the modern use of service dogs in both military and civilian roles, including search and rescue operations, disaster relief, and emotional support. Though advancements in technology have replaced many of the roles once filled by mercy dogs, their legacy endures as a testament to the bond between humans and animals. And we still use dogs in the military all over the world now, although quite often it is in a more active role rather than just delivering aid and comfort. The story of mercy dogs is one of unparalleled courage and loyalty. In the darkest hours of war, these animals served as both lifesavers and companions, providing hope and humanity in the face of unimaginable horror. Their contributions remind us of the profound connection between humans and dogs, a bond that transcends even the chaos of the battlefield. As we remember those silent heroes, we honour not just their bravery, but the enduring compassion they brought to one of history's most inhumane environments. And that is the story of the mercy dogs. I think I have one dog that might do as a mercy dog. The other three would, the first sound of gunfire, though, you wouldn't see them for dust. If we needed any more assurance as to the wonder of dogs, there you have it. And as I said earlier, the thought of these men dying alone in these horrible conditions, being comforted by a dog, is a little source of comfort. I'd love to hear from you, so do email me, theMondayNightRevue@gmail.com. You can find me on social media, where I will be uploading pictures of dogs to go with this episode. And you can get some merch by following the link in the show notes. And I hope to bring you a longer and less snotty episode next week. And until next time, be kind, stay safe, and always check the back seat before you drive.